Hey everybody, Allison Gardner here. And as promised, in this next video, I want to talk about a little bit about self-love. Actually, a whole lot about self-love. A few days ago, this quote came to mind, and it's not, let me rephrase this thought came to mind. It wasn't a quote, but I'm making it one. I was having a hard go. I was walking across campus for what feels like the 90th day in a row of just not feeling great. Feeling a lot of fear in my mind because of a lot of stuff that had been stirred up, and just feeling off physically. And I just found myself trudging across campus going, why can't I just wake up one morning and just feel awesome and just jump out of bed and just be ready for life? Like, where is that option? What do I like? How come I just can't find it? And as I was dealing with this and processing this thought came into my head, and it said, Allison, why do you expect to heal in a day what took months or even years to wear down? And I really put a lot of thought into that. Wounds of the mind and wounds of the heart take a really long time to heal. And we think that because they didn't come in some huge traumatic way, or because it wasn't sort of a knife to the metaphorical heart, or a gunshot wound, or all of these things, that we should just be able to face them and then be like, okay, I know what's there. It's just gonna be fine. Poof, like it'll just come. But there is a very large difference from a sudden scrape that just happens one day, that stings and burns a little bit, and then you put some Neosporin or some triple antibiotic ointment on it and it's fine. There is a very big difference between that idea of just something sudden that just sort of happens and then you move on. And this is going to be sort of graphic, and I don't mean it to be, but I just kind of go with me till we resolve. There's a difference between something sudden, you catch yourself on something, you scratch yourself, you go, ouch, and you move on. Versus if there is a rough spot on the wall or somewhere, and you hit that same spot over and over and over again on the same part of your body for years at a time. Because not only does that spot never have time to heal, but that spot is abused or berated, abrasived, anyway, all of those words over and over and over and over again. And so if we are running into a circumstance that is hard or is painful or causes us to question ourselves or increases self-doubt or is just straight up not healthy, whatever it is, and we do that over and over and over again in the name of, but I'm a hard worker, in the name of, it's really not that big of a deal, I can just deal with it, or I can just keep going because my reputation is on the line, or any number of insert, my worth is dependent on how well I work. If you keep comparing your worth to the stuff you do, you are essentially taking a weapon to yourself over and over and over again. Because bodies and minds are not infallible. Bodies and minds are mortal, and they get roughed up and they get tired, and you can't always do everything all the time. And if you define yourself by what you do, that also means that you are pinning your worth on other people's value of what you do. And if you are pinning your worth on what other people think about you, guess what? They have other stuff to think about. They have other things to invest their mind and their time in. And sorry, I'm hitting the piano that this is on. um, and I had to come to terms with that. I've had to come to terms with that in a big way, because my life has been defined by going over and above. My life has been defined by giving more than what was expected. But the problem of giving more than is expected is eventually their expectations go up and your ability to go above and beyond maxes out. And I have faced this in my jobs. I have faced this in my marriage. I have faced this in most of my relationships, because I always want to be the person who shows up. I always want to be the person who can go that extra mile, and I have over time defined myself that way. And being in a relationship where someone struggles with depression or anxiety and they can't always show up and they can't always be there, you find yourself feeling you have to go even further and you have to show up even more, because you're doing it for two. And it's been really hard for me to face the fact that my mindset has to change if I want to get better. And that means giving myself time to heal and giving myself permission to not have to define myself by what I give other people. And not defining myself by how I show up for other people, or how much work I get done, or how well I do something. I wish I had a point, but I guess really what it is if you have been pushing yourself for a really long time, your body can't do it forever. And if you were supporting a spouse or a child that struggles themselves, take time for yourself. Take time to realize that it's okay to cry. My biggest struggle has been not to show emotion, to not show how hard it is, because I always felt like the other person in my marriage wasn't in a place where they could take that. But I can't keep it in. I can't hold on to it forever. And it wasn't intended that I do so. So I hope that you will find a safe place. Perhaps it's letters to Heavenly Father, because He gets to tell you who you are when all the other stuff falls away. He's the one that can listen to you cry on your shoulder, because the burden of your feelings is never too much. There's a rock in Gethsemane with your name on it, where you leave your self-doubt and where you leave your fear of not measuring up, and you leave your frustration with other people because they don't meet you where you are, because they can't, because you don't tell them where you are. And you leave your fear of your limitations there. And you trust that things will get better. Probably not today, probably not tomorrow, but we only have to take things one day at a time. We only have to see things one moment at a time, and have faith that the Lord is already in an hour from now, and the Lord is already in a day from now, and the Lord is already in a week from now. He's got that stuff, so all we need is today. Please be kind to yourself. Life is too short to think that you are only a plate of cookies that you can give away, that you are defined by the people that you can show up for and the kind words you can say to other people. Those are all good and needful things, but you, yourself, in the innermost part of yourself, what makes you tick, what makes you happy, what makes you want to flash dance, what makes your heart hurt, what makes it glad, that's you, and that's the you that is loved eternally. And if you're having a hard time trying to find who you are, Hold on to what's on the inside and trust the Lord to take care of the